Good afternoon, everyone. Let's get started with the first theory in media and development session. It's called modernization theory, and let's see what are the basic features of modernization theory and why it is relevant to media and development course. So, modernization could be understood from the point of view perspective of how the transition has happened over a period of time in the society, how we have moved from pre-modern times or a traditional time to a modern society to create a modern society, and what all has gone into the process of modernization, and why we say that modernization is so relevant or important to the process of development. So the current modernization theory that we are going to discuss in this session, and which you would possibly be using in the course of the semester, is the one that is proposed by German sociologist Max Weber, which provides a basis for the modernization paradigm developed by Harvard sociologist Talcott Parsons. So what they primarily talk about, let's see. So modernization approach has been one of the most influential theoretical perspectives on development since their emergence in the 1950s. So 1950s modernization approaches were proposed from very several theoretical perspectives, and primary attention has been on the focus has been focused on the ways in which past and present pre-modern societies become modern, westernized through process of economic growth, social, cultural, and political change. So the key primacy that is given here in this context is how the westernized model of development could be offered in order to see that other societies can adapt to those sort of changes. Okay, so what are the key factors through which this model was approached? Economic growth, societal changes, cultural changes, political changes. So the westernized society is always considered to be modern society, and these are the reasons why the focus has always been on that. And since 1950s onwards, modernization approaches were offered by looking at these societies. Although there is no single theory of modernization, it's always an assortment of several theories and perspectives, ideas that are put forward by several social scientists, media theorists, and communication experts. It collectively accounts for explanation of the processes of transformation from a traditional or underdeveloped societies to a modern societies, and envisages a process of change towards those type of socio economic and political systems that have been developed in Western Europe and North America. So Western Europe and North America remain a model, or work as model geographies, which are considered as considered as modern societies, and everything that they have done over a period of time, looking at their history and how their transition has happened from traditional or pre-modern society to a modern one, is offered as a framework for other underdeveloped societies, or developing societies, to use those matrices as a framework in order to make themselves modern. So every time we talk about modern communities or modern societies, most of the times it's always Europe and America. So that's one of the reasons why mass migrations also happen, because people consider them to be modern and hence superior and hence developed in nature, and they want to experience that modernization. They want to experience that sort of a standard of living or life. That's one of the primary reasons why these geographies are often quoted as the most developed and the most modern ones. So modernization theory looks at the internal factors of a country. Okay, so all the factors that we have discussed previously in other lectures, the inner circle, outer circles. So those internal factors of of a country must be looked at as, while assuming with assistance that traditional countries can be brought to development in the same manner more developed countries have been. So using the indices, like I told you, using those sort of a matrix, we can, with a little bit of help and assistance, the traditional countries, or the countries which are in a state of underdevelopment, or in a state of developing as a nation could be brought to that phase of development and could be brought to that phase of modernization. So modernization theory stay as a dominant paradigm in the social sciences in 1950s and looms large on every media and development discourse that we can possibly see, because um, often it is equated that a modern society got to be developed and a developed society got to be modern in nature. So since 1915 or 50s onwards, it has been proposed, and this becomes a very significant theory. It attempts to develop, it attempts to identify the social variables that contribute to social progress and development of societies and seeks to explain the process of social evolution. So, in order to understand and kind of see that what kind of social evolution is required for a a society which is in an underdeveloped state or a society which is developing, we need to identify what are the social variables. So identifying social variables become crucial, and then we need to also focus on them individually and see to it that how as a cluster, how as a unit, they contribute to social development and social progress of different societies and communities. Modernization theory stresses not only on the process of change but also on the responses to that change. Okay, so the focus cannot be just on the process of change. It is also about how people within those communities or people within those societies who are living in those societies are reacting or responding to those changes. So tapping that sort of a response, tapping that sort of a feedback, tapping how they're coping up with such kind of social changes, because it's a long drawn process and it's a dynamic one. Also, we keep on changing as societies. So how we are reacting and responding to those changes would help define the process. It also looks at internal dynamics while referring to social and cultural structures. Now, the social and cultural structures are our own. Okay, it is inherently local. So, unless we understand what are the internal challenges, what are the internal dynamics, we would not be able to adapt to new technology, because new technologies are might or might not be homegrown in nature. They could be offered by somebody else. It could be it could be brought in from or imported from some other source. So in order to adapt to those new technologies, and new technologies doesn't necessarily refer to technologies per se, any kind of tool and technique that helps us grow and sustain and kind of facilitate better process of living could be defined as a new technology. And in order to adapt to those sort of changes, we need to understand what our internal dynamics as far as our social and cultural structures are concerned. So modernization theory also suggests that traditional societies will develop as they adopt more modern practices. So we need to we need to examine what the modern practices are by looking at the Western models, and see whether those things are practically applicable to us or not, and b how conducive it is to develop those practices within a local sphere. And once those things are adopted, um, traditional societies would slowly move into a state of development. The proponents of modernization theory claim that modern states are wealthier and more powerful, and that their citizens are freer to enjoy a higher standard of living. And this is very evident. The very reason why so much of mass migration is happening across the world. A lot of people look at America and different parts of Western Europe as extremely developed, and they look at their own citizens, um, these countries' citizens, as to be lot more freer, to be enjoying freedom, to be enjoying more wealth, to be enjoying better standard of living. So naturally, it is a very natural phenomena that occurs within us, that we also wish to go and achieve those kind of that sort of a standard of living and achieve that kind of a freedom. So because these states or these countries are wealthier, and over a period of time they have moved from a traditional society to a modern society, and they're in state of development, in that higher state of development, they are likely to become modern nations. They are likely to offer ideas around modernization, and because they are wealthier, they could use that economic state to become powerful and to allow their citizens to have better opportunities and better standard of living. Then developments such as new data technology and the need to update traditional methods in transport, communication, production, it is argued, makes modernization necessary or at least preferable to the status quo. If you look at the entire process of industrialization, you realize that um, right from the beginning of industrialization process to the phase where we are in right now, we have made tremendous amount of development as far as transport system facilities are concerned or communication and production is concerned. And one of the tiniest example would be the very fact that you can call a Uber at your convenience, or you can order food if you uh, are bored with home cooked food, or if you want to try a new cuisine, uh, all on a phone app. So if not for technology, if not for newer ways of looking at how convenience can be accessed, modernization wouldn't have been possible. So to update the traditional methods in different forms of transport, in different forms of communication technologies, in terms of production and access to technologies, makes modernization extremely necessary and important, and at least preferable to the status quo. Um, to whatever situation we are in now, how to upgrade ourselves in better ways would be largely crucial to the same. Then modernization theory holds that low income nations stay poor because they have failed to adopt market friendly behaviors. Now we do understand what market friendly behaviors are, as such as industrialization, education and savings, and market friendly beliefs such as individualism, that is belief in the value of individual action rather than collective action or government regulation, and meritocracy, that is belief that people occupy social positions based on their abilities and achievement. So this is something that modernization theory kind of proposes or advocates, that low income nations are largely the underdeveloped ones. They continue to stay poor. They continue in that state of poverty because they somewhere fail to adopt this sort of behavior. They fail to adopt to industrialization because of the lack of money. The education sector gets affected, so there is lesser scope for education, and because they are poor, they are definitely unable to save. And what is market friendly belief would be individualism. Individualism, prioritizing yourself, prioritizing individual self or individual thought process and actions over collective actions, waiting for something to happen, or waiting for government regulation to appear, waiting for policies to change. So what modernization theory proposes is, as an individual, what are you doing, how are you contributing, to a certain belief system, or to recreate or create a belief system which would be valued eventually. And then meritocracy is basically believing that people occupy social positions in different sectors. Okay, it could be in the governance structure, um, it could be holding any kind of a social position within the community based on the abilities and achievement, not because there is a hierarchy to follow, or not because of nepotism, or not because somebody else kind of pushed them. So purely on the basis of meritocracy, uh, individuals, communities, societies can progress. So this is something that modernization theory proposes. Modern behavior, according to this theory, include embracing hard work, willingness to abandon old ways and evolve, and future-oriented outlook. Okay, so these are signs and symbols of modern behavior. Modern human behavior um, would reflect hard work, that people are willing to work hard for longer period of time at different situations, and they must embrace hard work. They should be willing to work hard in order to achieve something. So right when you are trying to achieve something, right from the beginning, it could be something extremely fundamental that you want to bring in some kind of a societal change. We must be able to embrace hard work. Then willingness to abandon old ways, old traditional ways which are not working, and in a society which is constantly evolving, a society which is dynamic, if we don't do away with the old ways of operations, then we might not proceed and progress. We might remain stagnant, whereas rest of the communities, rest of the individuals, and rest of the society would progress. If we hold on to our old ways, eventually they will become barriers for us to see further, to proceed further. And then we must have a future oriented outlook. As individuals or as communities, we must be future driven. We must have an approach or a temperament which is always looking forward to the future and which is driven by the orientation for future. So these are few of the signs of how modern human behavior should be. Then approaches and attitude towards technology are also central issues for modernization theorists. So all the modernization theories propose that how we are reacting or responding towards newer technologies would define how modern we are. Modern science and modern technology adoption would make a huge difference between how high income and low income countries, and it's something extremely important to see. The very fact that your neighboring country China is a place where majority of the Apple products are manufactured, Apple or any of the technological products are manufactured and sold over. Or in America, for that matter, Windows comes from America, Apple comes from America. Majority of the um, technological tools and devices are brought in from America, and we need to understand that these are not homegrown technologies. These are technologies which are developed in high income countries. So that makes a difference between high income countries and low income countries, because they have an upper edge as against us, or as against those people who belong to the low income country groups. So in such sort of a situation, unless we are ready to drive ourselves to adopt new technologies, we won't be able to progress as far as modernization is concerned, as far as development is concerned. This is something that the modernization theorists kind of push or focus on. So it is central or key that how we are reacting, or what is our approach or attitude towards those technologies. They also argue that the cultural values of some nations produce a resistance to embracing new technology. Many times it happens from religious communities to just very parochial or feudal mindset, that why do we require this? We have been doing great with the older technologies and older ways of living things, but they don't understand. Those people who resist those sort of those people or those communities who resist those sort of ideas don't understand that they have reached that stage also because somebody had back in the day decided or thought that okay, this new technology is required. Those people who want to continue with bullock cart must realize that bullock cart was not there, and at one point in time when human beings invented the concept of will, that they realized that okay, it could also be used for our own benefits and movement, so on and so forth. So from that, if you are not ready to adapt to more convenient ways of living, which requires embracing newer technologies, then we would always fall flat. Societies that are very rooted in traditional values around kinship and tribal systems are not often on the leading edge of embracing technological change, according to this perspective. So, according to modernization theorists, they also argue or claim that those people those communities which are tribal in nature, those communities which stays in the fringes of rural geographies, who are not educated or who lack the basic amenities to understand the value of newer technologies, they would not be the first ones to embrace technological change. And because they won't, that society or that community would remain in that state of low income, in that remain in the state of underdevelopment. So in order to change that, we need to kind of be ready to embrace newer technologies. Although there are many versions of modernization, some of the major implicit or explicit tenets are: first, societies develop through a series of evolutionary stages. Okay, so it's not a random idea, it's not something that just comes on one day or five people sit and decide that okay, the society need to develop and it develops on its own. No, it doesn't work out that way. It undergoes series of evolutionary stages, and so much of planning and so much of thinking and so much of policy making and so many people and communities coming together to contribute to help develop a society or to help modernize a society. So that evolution is extremely pertinent, extremely necessary for the societies to emerge as developed ones. These stages are based on different degrees and patterns of social differentiation and reintegration of structural and cultural components that are functionally compatible for the maintenance of society. Okay, so unless we understand the various degrees and patterns of social differentiation, why they are there and how to integrate them, like I told you, the urban and the rural must have a healthy marriage. Okay, people who are in the fringes of the society, they need to be brought in. We need to be a lot more inclusive, and they also need to be open to accept those sort of structural and cultural changes and things which are functionally compatible for the maintenance of society. Now, what is functional compatibility means? Functional compatibility would refer to something which would help us navigate in our daily ways of living in a much better way. Adoption to new technologies, acceptance of everything that is around for the betterment of the society, becoming a lot more inclusive, becoming a lot more open, and this openness and this state of inclusion would also open our mindsets to embrace newer communities, communities who lack the basic amenities, communities which lack the years and decades of being in the fringes of the societies. Contemporary developing societies are also pre-modern stage of evolution, are at a pre-modern stage of evolution, and they will eventually achieve economic growth and take on the social, political, and economic features of Western European and North American societies, which have progressed to the highest stage of social evolutionary development. If you would look at Western Europe or North American societies, it is proposed as per the modernization theorists that they have reached the highest stage of social evolutionary development. And for the other societies, other developing societies which are still in a traditional, which still follows the traditional format, this will happen. Evolution sooner or later will happen, and they will eventually have to achieve economic growth and then take on the social, the political, and the economic features. And so it's a borrowed model, and we need to see how it is compatible for us or not. And so there will be resistance, there will be challenges, there will be barriers, and we need to see how we can overcome them and make something that is conducive for our own. This modernization will result as a complex Western technology is important, and as traditional structural and cultural features regarding as incompatible with such development are overcome. We need to overcome such sort of hindrances. We need to overcome, simplify the Western technologies which we import and see whether it can be compatible to us or not. Historians link modernization to the process of urbanization and industrialization and the spread of education. So, right, like I told right at the outset of the lecture, that modernization is often, equated with the process of urbanization or industrialization and the spread of education. So, these areas or these factors play a very significant role in order to modernize a society. That the society becomes a lot more urban as against rural, which means there is more scope for industrial opportunities, more scope for the process of industrialization, and in the process, people also educate themselves, and people reach a certain stage of education. People reach a certain stage where cognitive valuation can happen, where cognitions be given importance. Sorry. Yeah. So we stop here for this session, and we'll continue uh, the lecture. I mean, the next part of the modernization theory in the next session. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next session.